Hello and welcome to this lecture of physics. In this part, which is the next concepts of thermodynamics, and the first one in that is the adiabatic process. So in the last part, we saw about isothermal process, isobaric process, and one more process that is isochoric process. In this part, we'll learn more about adiabatic process. So let's understand what adiabatic process is. So adiabatic process is a process in which the net heat transfer to the system is zero. So there is no exchange of heat. What we can surely say about adiabatic process is this, that is delta Q is equal to 0. Now we know that according to the first law of thermodynamics, delta Q is equal to delta W plus delta U. So it means that if delta Q is 0, delta W is minus delta U. Or we can say that delta W would be given by NCV delta T with a minus sign. Now, if it is 1 mole, then we can write the expression as delta Ws minus Cv delta T. Now, after this, what comes is the relation PV is equal to RT, because we are considering number of moles as 1. So, what I do is, now I differentiate this expression with respect to temperature. So, the latest expression that we have is PV equals to RT, and that we are going to differentiate with respect to the temperature. So, dP by dt, keeping V as constant. Thus, next time we keep the pressure constant and we write dV by dt. And this is going to be R, because dt by dt would be 1 anyways. So, I'm wiping this off. And now what we get is this. So, let's consider this expression. And through this expression, we get the expression for dt. dt is going to be V dP plus P dV by R. This is the expression that we get. Now, this we are going to substitute in whatever we call. And let's see what we get out of this. So, work done, as we know, is Cv dt with a minus sign. So, this work done can be written as P dV is minus Cv dt. So, we have another expression for dt, that is minus P dV by C. Now, once this is done, we have two expressions, expression 1 and expression 2. Let's equate them. Let's see what we get out of it. This is the first one, this is the second one. So, equating these, we'll get V dP plus P dV into Cv, the cross multiplication. Cv goes over here, and this here will get minus PR dV. Cv times V dP plus Cv times P dV is equal to R, we can write as Cp minus Cv. So there is one relation called as Mayer's relation, which is Cp minus Cv is equal to R. So here we will put Cp minus Cv into P dV. This is equal to 0. Now you can clearly see that here there is Cv P dV and here there is minus Cp dV. So these two parts will cancel down. And what we get is Cv V dV plus Cp P PdV is equal to 0. Now some of the relations learned over here would be explained in the later parts of the video. So here there is one another relation, Cp by Cv. This ratio is called gamma, and now we are going to use it. So Cv, if we divide this equation throughout by Cv, we get this Cp by Cv PdV, which is nothing but gamma. Now let's separate these and see what we get. So dP by P is equal to minus gamma dV by V. That's what we get. So let's integrate it on both the sides, and what we get is ln of P is equal to minus ln of V raised to gamma plus some constant ln C. So ln of P plus ln of V raised to gamma is equal to ln of constant. Now using the properties of the law, we get PV raised to gamma is equal to constant. This is the relation that is used to define an adiabatic process. So now the equation that we have derived is of the form PV raised to gamma is equal to constant. If that is the case, then for adiabatic process, if you have to define some relation between pressure and volume, then it's going to be this way. P1 V1 raised to gamma equals to P2 V2 raised to gamma. Now gamma is a value that is decided by what kind of gas is available. That is, whether that gas is monoatomic, diatomic or triatomic. Depending on that, the value of gamma will continuously change. Now if this is PV raised to gamma equals to constant is one relation, we can define it with respect to temperature and volume as well. So first time what we do is, we know that PV equals to RT. So instead of P, we will write RT by V, and let's see what we get. So here if I write RT by V into V raised to gamma is equal to some constant, then this can be written as T into V raised to gamma minus 1 is equal to constant, because this R can be transferred on the other side and we can write it as some C dash. So further it becomes anyways a constant. So we can write PV raised to gamma minus 1 is equal to some constant. This is another relation that is used. So this is first relation, this is the second relation. Now third time what we do is, instead of volume we will write RT by P. So we will get a relation between pressure and temperature. So the first relation we substitute RT by P raised to gamma. Let's see what we get out of this. So R raised to gamma is anyways a constant. T raised to gamma by P raised to gamma is a constant. So R raised to gamma, which is a constant, can be taken on the other side, and it simplifies our goal. So T raised to gamma by P raised to gamma is another constant C dash, because this is taken on the other side. So this relation becomes P1 minus gamma T raised to gamma is equal to some constant. This is relation number 3, which is used in adiabatic process. Now these are very important relations, because at times we could be given the information between just pressure and temperature, or we could be given between temperature and volume, or in the third case pressure and volume. So according to what is given to us, we have to use these relations and solve the problem. Next, let us see various graphs. That is, the first one is pressure and volume. This is pressure and this is volume. Then for an adiabatic process, the graph is similar to what you have in isothermal process, but it is not exactly the same. We'll see the difference in some time. As far as the volume and temperature graph is concerned, so this is the VT graph. This is similar to what is there in PV. However, if we would want to draw a temperature and pressure graph this way, then it is something like this. That is, this time the arrow is pointing downwards. Now these graphs are according to the relations that we have just obtained some time back. Let us take a few problems and try to understand the application of formulae. Before that, let us see what is the slope of PV graph for an adiabatic process. We know that PV raised to gamma is a constant. Now let's differentiate this and see what we get. So let's do dP by dV. So dP by dV into V raised to gamma plus gamma times V raised to gamma minus 1 P is equal to 0. That's what we get. So now let us see dP by dV, what relation we get. So that is going to be minus gamma times V raised to gamma minus 1 P by V raised to gamma, which can further be written as minus gamma times P by V. So this is the slope of an adiabatic process PV curve. That means if this is the curve that you're talking about, PV curve, and if we draw a tangent to this, then this will be the slope. That is, the slope will be negative. So slope of this tangent would be minus gamma times P by V. Now you can clearly see that in the isothermal process, it was just minus P by V. So here it is different. Now let us compare the graphs of isothermal and adiabatic process for expansion. So we just saw that the slopes of both the graphs are different. Hence, if isothermal is concerned, as far as isothermal is concerned, when it is an expansion process, then isothermal comes on top. And this is the graph for adiabatic. So you can clearly see that the adiabatic graph would be a bit steeper. Slope of this is minus gamma times P by V. And slope of this is minus P by V. So this gamma addition to it, or the multiplication of gamma, is the reason why adiabatic slope is lesser than isothermal slope in this case. Now magnitude wise, of course, this is greater. The adiabatic slope is greater. If it's a process of compression, then the adiabatic graph would be on top. So this would be adiabatic and this would be isothermal. Of course, we are talking about the PV graphs. Similarly, if we consider monoatomic, diatomic and triatomic gases, three types of different gases, then this would be the pattern. So the first one would be monoatomic. Second one would be for the diatomic. And the third one would be for triatomic. Let's take up a problem based on the concepts that we have learned. So initial pressure of a gas is given as 5 into 10 raised to 5. So let's write P1 as 5 into 10 raised to 5. Now there's an adiabatic process due to which the volume V2 is V1 by 9. So it's given that the volume becomes 1/9 of its initial value. What is the pressure of gas in this situation? Gamma is 3 by 2. So we know that P1 V1 raised to gamma is equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma. This is a formula to be used in adiabatic process. So P1 is already given to us, that is 5 into 10 raised to 5. Not only that, V1 by V2, this ratio is known to us, that is 9. 9 raised to gamma, that is 3 by 2. And this is the value of pressure P2. So let's calculate the value of P2. Now square root of 9. So when I say 9, square root of, this is the square root of 9, and then we have to cube it to find a final answer. So square root of 9 is 3. 3 cube is 27. So 27 into 5. That's the answer to this question. That comes to 135 into 10 raised to 5 Newton per meter square. So that is the answer to this question. Let's take up yet another problem. It's given that ideal monoatomic gas at 300 Kelvin expands adiabatically to twice its volume. So it's given that V2 is 2 times V1. This is one information. And temperature T1 is 300 Kelvin. That is another one. So what is the final temperature? That's what we have been asked. And we know that the relation that holds between T and V is this. T1 V1 raised to gamma minus 1. T2 V2 raised to gamma minus 1. So basically T1 V1 by V2, this ratio is known to us, gamma minus 1. What we have to calculate is T2. So V1 by V2 is half raised to gamma minus 1. Now gamma value is to be taken as 5 by 3 since it's a monoatomic gas. We will learn more about this in the next lectures. So 5 by 3 minus 1, that is T2. So basically it is 2 by 3. So let's do this. 300 into half raised to 2 by 3. So what 2 by 3 means is that we will first square it and then find a cube root of it. So after we do this process, we get the answer as 189 Kelvin approximately. Let's understand the next set of expressions for work done. Now this will be work done under adiabatic process. So work done is given as P1 V1 minus P2 V2 by gamma minus 1. And this would be given as, also given as NR T1 minus T2 by gamma minus 1. Now let's try and prove this expression. So we know that work done is given as P dV. This is what we know. That is from final volume to initial volume. V initial to V final. So let's take it as V1 to V2. Now P, as I know earlier from the expression that we already have, we know that PV raised to gamma is a constant. This is known to us. This we have proved already. Now it means that pressure can be written as some constant by V raised to gamma. So let's write it that way. Some constant by V raised to gamma dV. So now is the time to integrate this. So let's take the C out and then integrate it from V1 to V2. This V raised to minus gamma dV. Now any expression which is of the form x raised to n with respect to dx, we could integrate it as x raised to n plus 1 by n plus 1 plus c. This is the way we integrate. Now let's try and integrate this. So if we integrate this particular expression, we get it as v raised to minus gamma plus 1 by minus gamma plus 1. And this expression, the upper limit and lower limit would be v1 and v2. So let's put it over here and see what we get. So this would be written as So let's see the expression that we are getting further. What we get is V raised to 1 minus gamma by 1 minus gamma. Now this V1 and V2. So this is going to be V2 1 minus gamma by 1 minus gamma minus V1 1 minus gamma by 1 minus gamma. So ultimately this is going to be, there is also a constant which is kept outside. So let's take this constant. Now overall this is going to look like V2 by V2 raised to gamma by 1 minus gamma minus this C is going to multiply over here also, which is C2 by V1 raised to gamma V1 by 1 minus gamma. That's what we get. Now we also know that P1 V1 raised to gamma is a constant, P2 V2 raised to gamma is the same constant. So we can write this can be replaced by P1, this can be replaced by P2. So we get P2 V2 minus P1 V1 by 1 minus gamma. Or we can write the other way as P1 V1 by, we can also write it as P1 V1 minus P2 V2 by 1 minus gamma. I'm sorry, this should be gamma minus 1. So this is one expression, or else we can also write it as nRT2. This particular expression we can write as nRT1, and this expression we can write as nRT2 by gamma minus 1. This can be written as nR T1 minus T2 by gamma minus 1. This could be another expression for work done. So this is the expression, or this can be the expression used for problem solving. Let's take up a problem now. It's given to us that this is the problem. 14 grams of nitrogen is compressed in an adiabatic process such that its temperature increases by 60 degrees. Find work done on the gas. Now this temperature change is given, and it's also given at 14 gram of nitrogen gas. So number of moles is 14 by 28, which is half. R is a constant, universal gas constant, given as 8.314. And we also know that the change in temperature is going to be 60. So now that we know this, we can find the work done as nR T1 minus T2. But then the temperature increases by 60, and definitely we know that this is going to be gamma minus 1 over here. So since the temperature increases, this value is going to be minus, which is 0.5 number of moles into 8.314 into 60 divided by gamma minus 1. Now nitrogen is a diatomic gas, so gamma value would be taken as 3 by 2. 3 by 2 minus 1. So overall when we calculate this, the expression that we get, the answer that we get is minus 498 joules. So that is the work done in compression. Now the gas is compressed. Obviously, we are getting the negative sign as per the convention, because we have said that whenever we do some work on the gas, it's a negative work, and whenever the gas expands, that is the gas does some work, it is a positive work done. Let's take up another problem. Now in this case we have to find the net heat given to the system during the process. We can clearly see that it's a cyclic process, so for the entire process we can say that delta U is equal to 0, because from whatever state the system had started, it comes back to that original state. So we can say that delta U is 0, and if that is the case, delta Q is delta W. So all that we have to do is find the net work done for this entire process. If we are able to do it, then we can calculate the total heat that is given to the system. So let's consider for that matter process AB first. Now process AB, as you can see, is a constant volume process, because this line you can see is uh, parallel to x-axis and it's having a constant volume V1. So delta W for process AB is going to be 0, and obviously delta Q is also 0 for that process. Let's take up process BC. Now process BC, as you can see, is a isothermal process, and the volume is increasing from V1 to V2. So for an isothermal process, we know that the work done is given as nR T2 ln V final by V initial. So this is the process. This is the work done in the process BC. And now what we have is the process CA. In this we have to find the work done. So let's analyze the third process. In the third process, we can clearly see that it's a straight line for a VT graph. So if it's a straight line for a VT graph, we can clearly say that V by T is a constant for this process. Now, if we analyze this equation, PV equals to nRT, we can clearly say that nRT by V is a constant. So that means it's an isobaric process. So for this, we know that the expression is going to be work done under process CA is going to be pressure into T2 minus T1, because this is the final and initial. So final is T1 and initial is T2. So final is T1 and initial is T2. Of course, this has to be written as V1 minus V2, or in the other case, we can also write it as nR T1 minus T2. But this is going to be written as minus nR T2 minus T1. Now, after we follow this, we can add all of them, and that becomes the heat supply to the system, or the heat transfer to the system finally would be the first, that is 0. Second one would be nRT2 ln V2 by V1. And the third one would be minus nR T2 minus T1. So that would be the net heat transfer to the system.